at the point he meets Negan, at least the way I felt about it was almost like he kind of deserved this. We're back.
We are.
Season 6, The Walking Dead. What did you guys... First, I guess to just start off, like, where does this season fall for you guys? Was it a good season? Not so good
I think
season?
it was the best season out of all the other seasons, to be honest.
Alex?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say it's the best. I did enjoy it, but I don't know. There's a lot of...
Well, what season would you put over this one?
I don't know. I did enjoy the governor because there was like... It was the first time there was like a threat of people.
Over zombies?
Yeah. Where it's like, you just see all the group like, there's a zombie dead, okay, and just keep talking. Like they don't even give a crap. They're just destroying these zombies with zero shits, and the only threat is people. And then now it's a similar thing, but you got a bunch of people who can't even handle the threat of zombies, except for obviously there's one scene where they all fight against it, but for the most part, there's just a bunch of like people that make you feel like, oh my god, these people are useless. I'm so annoyed. And then you got like the season where it was the governor and they're all like just badasses who just are out to kill everything.
Okay, that's fair.
That's true.
I kind of agree with Sam. This was my favorite season for the reasons. One, I just wanted to get to Negan. Yeah. But also because of all the pacing I thought was pretty well done because the first 3 episodes were pretty like shit's happening. Glenn's might or might not be dead, which I think is pretty obvious that he wasn't, but it was still like holy shit. Yeah. And then I thought the 4th episode, Morgan's episode, was like one of my favorite character development episodes. Like it was an hour 90. No, it was an hour long without the commercials or whatever. But it was interesting all the way through and just focused on Morgan and the one other guy. So I thought that was a really good episode. And then right after that, I guess the weak spot of the season might be right before the mid-season finale. Yeah. But it is also interesting when Daryl goes out to find people, and then that's the first encounter kind of with Negan's people. But yeah, and then the second half of the episode I thought was just as like you start off with fucking like 3-4 people dying. Rick's wife, the kids, Carl getting shot in the eye like crazy. That was a good episode. It gets right into like the next storyline after that and up to Negan. And the other thing I liked about the season was that it shows how extreme kind of Rick's gotten, because at the point he meets Negan, at least the way I felt about it was almost like he kind of deserved this. You went and like they killed their people, then they went into the compound. Now I understand they're shitty, like you can tell they're shitty people just from like how they behave and stuff.
The pictures.
Yeah, and the pictures and stuff. But it's kind of like what the governor did, where he's like, hey, there's someone over here. Let's fucking go kill them. So it kind of shows how Rick's group, or Rick himself, is more extreme now.
Well, and like you can tell that it was on impulse too, because nobody at any point brings up like, what if this one building isn't all of them? Like no one brings it up. No one thinks about it. It's just like, let's kill this group. They're all here. I'm sure of it.
That's the thing, because Rick is so full. Like before that, all the groups like Terminus, the governor, all that, they're like one community. They're just like Rick's group kind of, where they're just trying to survive and they're whatever. It's just one community. And Rick, on top of that, understandably, going through all the shit he's gone through and conquering all the situations and roadblocks he's done. Now in this, like he feels pretty confident about everything.
Well, to be completely honest, he almost seems like a
did
god.
Think about it. He probably just was like, okay, we'll kill this building. If there's more of them, we'll handle that then too, boy.
Yeah, basically, right?
Well, to be completely honest, he almost feels like he's a god at this point. Like he almost, like the way he talks like to Michonne and stuff, it's just like, we own this world. This is...
If you were sleeping with Michonne, you'd have a god complex.
But he's like, every time he talks near the end of the season, it's always like, we own this world. Everything we've ever, like Alex was saying, every time we see a situation, we don't just beat it. We conquer it. We own it. And then he goes from, like you were saying, like just little communities where they only have a little like fighter group where they are the ones that actually go and kill zombies or like fight actual people. And the majority of the community is just regular people that like do laundry and like farm and stuff. He can usually go through a group and totally destroy it. So when he meets a group like, obviously like Negan at the end.
He's dealt with towns, but he didn't realize he was facing a nation.
Yeah, like
that basically, because I mean the thing is Negan owns all these different little towns, I guess, like other people that he's taken over. And the other thing I thought was great was, I mean, you knew Negan's group was big because one, you see the people Daryl runs into on the motorcycle, so that's already like 10 guys there. Then you see the next people in the forest, they've got like trucks and shit plowing through the forest. Then the next thing I guess is the compound where you're like, wow, they have this big building, there's probably like 30 guys in here or whatever. So you're like, hey, these guys have numbers, but then...
And on top of that, those are just the fighters.
Yeah.
They haven't even shown like the rest of the people, like the laundry and the farmers and whatever. And
Dwight's group too, like comes out right on the train tracks. So, and then
sorry, I'm just thinking of regular chores. Thinking of chores.
And I thought it was crazy too how they built it up in the finale. Like one reason I really liked it was because the pacing again. Like you see, by the way, shout out to Stephen Ogg. He's like one of my favorite actors now because he just plays a fucking psycho in everything I see him in. But you see him and his little group blocking the first road, and you're like, okay, like there's like 7 guys there. Yeah, but you're like, okay. And then the next group is a little bigger, and you're like, oh shit. Then the next thing is just zombies, but then after that, there's fucking like trucks everywhere and
zombies,
people like stacked over.
They had props on those zombies.
They did.
Well, they had the props on the zombies, and
they chained them all together.
They chained them all together, and then when Rick cut through them, they wasted a whole bunch of ammo just to shoot at their feet to prove that they're not going to kill them yet.
Yeah.
So,
and anyway, you just keep going further, and then you keep seeing how much more people they have and what they can do, and you're like, oh fuck, like you guys are fucked. I mean, you get that anyways because it's the finale. It's not like they're gonna get away, but I thought that was really interesting that the way they introduced Negan is like, we have enough people to block every fucking road to this place and probably on your way back too.
Yeah, I thought the most interesting part of that was the logs, and then they turn around and the guy with the cross
comes down,
just like gets hung. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, like
because they're like, oh, we're gonna use you to prove a point, and I kept thinking like, how? Well, we laid him on the floor. Who gives a shit? And when they hung him, I was like, oh man,
poor guy.
Well, what's crazy is that obviously because we see from the Glen, like when Glen's going through their little compound there, all the photos of all the broken in heads from the bat or whatever, you realize that they've done this like a good amount of time. So they've like obviously probably done the same thing with like Rick's group. Like even when they're going around and then they're doing all the cars and all the zombie stops and stuff, they even know when people usually give up with the car and walk into the forest. Because obviously all of a sudden Eugene's just there with the fucking RV. Literally like 10 minutes later?
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is they could also have a scout group that just like...
that saw Eugene leave by himself.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right, so they probably have people like throughout there, but...
I know they have like different channels for radio.
But even then, that just shows you how big their fucking group is. Because they don't have cars following them. They have people... That would show that they have people in the forest literally watching them. Like, okay, they got out of the RV. Like, and then to move everyone into that specific position. Yeah. You can't assume that's everyone.
Well, and they had like when Michonne was looking through, or not Michonne, the other person was looking in the forest right before they started whistling. Like you could see people moving on both sides, and they were like funneling them into that place. So yeah, like they have people.
Yeah, that season ender was crazy. That was
like I know, the last 10 minutes were just like, oh man, this is gonna be like the whole time you're just waiting for it, and like the thing is, a lot of people didn't like the cliffhanger. I understand why. Obviously, it would have been crazy if they ended it on someone's head getting smashed in. But at the same time, they set every character up to die almost. So it's fun just like guessing
Yeah.
what. And the thing is, like, so many people are bitching about the cliffhanger, and like almost every show that I watch ends on a big cliffhanger. Now, not necessarily right before someone dies, but I mean, cliffhangers.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, this is a good way to end the season, if you ask me, just because now I'm really excited for next season.
Yeah, because it's going to kick off right away with that,
Yeah.
and then immediately you already have tigers and shit, so so it's it's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know. They also set it up, like, the crazy part about this season is that not only is it set up just for Rick's group, but so many different people are in different spots. Like Tara and what's the other guy?
They're on a scout, yeah.
Yeah, they're scouting around for supplies. Carol and Morgan are going on their little tirade. They meet two people with suits of armors on horses and shit.
Yeah, which is called, they're from the kingdom or whatever. From what
Yeah,
I know,
like, and then there's obviously Rick's group.
And
then
the
there's
hilltop.
then there's the hilltop. And then there's everyone in Alexandria. Like,
yeah.
the next season and after is going to be crazy. It's just...
Yeah.
It opens up so much.
I'm excited because it is, like you said, it's like Mad Max now, where like you have this open post-apocalyptic world with these different communities, and like Negan is also kind of like the fucking in Fury Road, the guy and his brothers who owned all those communities, right? Like you've got someone that's like the centerpiece, and it just opens the world up so much, and there's so many like interesting things going around. And on top of that, unlike Mad Max, you've been with these characters for like a very long time, so they're even more like developed, and you're even more like emotional about if one dies or whatever. So like it's a really cool way for the show to go from like this zombie horror show to this like post-apocalyptic
it's maturing with its audience.
And also the other thing is that's crazy about this episode, like in my opinion this season is so masterful because it shows that now Rick's group and all that have shown that you can manipulate the zombies how you want. And if you can do it, you could create so much havoc for other like settlements that don't like if you want a settlement and you don't want to kill anyone, you could just bring a zombie horde with you and just be like, okay, now deal with this. And then while you're wasting all your ammo
we'll pick you off.
We'll just shoot an RPG into your wall. And now you have to deal with the zombies. Like, it's so crazy what this season shows, and like all the settlements and shit. It's crazy in my opinion.
Yeah, like there's so many ways to go now for it, and especially since if you read the comics, like things are going to be the same but in different ways. So it's going to be interesting how they lead up to certain characters and stuff like that, and what they do there. Because now especially depending on who dies, it could change the story at least a bit from that perspective too. So it should be a new experience for a lot of people. So.
But if I was going to say, like, if there was a lull, it'd be kind of around after the wolves showed up, just because, like, I don't know, like the whole Morgan thing, in my opinion, obviously episode 4 kind of shows you like, oh, this is why he doesn't kill anyone or whatever. It's kind of like, oh my God, Morgan, you're ruining everything. But I don't know, around there is probably when I thought it was the lowest, but still at the same time, it was still, there was no part where I was like, okay, this is a shit episode. Why is this even in here?
Yeah, like for me, like the second episode when the wolves attack and Morgan like lets them go and stuff, I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, Morgan's a shit character. And then they made it up in episode 4 for me, where it's like, okay, how are they gonna redeem him? And they did it, in my opinion. They explained it, and by the end of the season, Morgan does kind of break his own rules a bit, and like he's not going to be like a Rick character, but he's going to be somewhere in the middle where
he understands why Rick does what he's doing.
Yeah, he understands it, but he also knows when not to cross the line. So his character, in my opinion, is pretty interesting still. My low would be right around where you're saying, just a little bit after, like basically after Morgan's episode up until the finale of the first half. And then after that, there aren't really a lot of lows. It just kind of keeps building up to Negan or whatever, right? And even that really quiet episode where you find out like Rick and Michonne were shown are happening.
Rick and Michonne are rebelling.
Yeah, man. That episode, like a new character was introduced, which was pretty cool, Jesus. And then you find out about Rick and Michonne. There are some slow other moments in the episode, but even that episode being a slow setup episode was interesting because it skipped 2 weeks or a couple weeks or whatever ahead, and you just kind of see what's going on. So after that, the season, in my opinion, constantly kind of went up. Even Maggie's and Carol's episode was really good, I thought. There was one, I don't know if you guys noticed, that the low point in the season for me, just because it was illogical, was when Carol is about to shoot, or she's aiming the gun at the redhead in the compound, and so the redhead's like standing over here. Sorry, I forgot her name, but she's not that important anyways. Okay. But anyway, she's standing over here, Carol's over here, and they end up fighting. But to get to that fight scene, Carol like steps forward, and like it seemed kind of like lazy directing almost, where it was like, okay, we need these two to fight, but they're standing this far apart, so we just need Carol to walk up like 5 steps or whatever so that she's close enough to hit her or whatever. Like, I don't understand why she would have needed to, instead of from over here, like go up. I don't know, like that was the only thing where I was like, gladly it didn't end in Carol dying, because if she died from that, I'd be like, what the fuck, like. But
she made through so much, and that's how she goes out.
Yeah, then that would have been really lazy directing.
I think that was the other part, in my opinion, that was like kind of a low, was Carol near the end.
Yeah, I didn't,
because like I understand that she, like the way she looks at Maggie, and she's starting to realize like, okay, she's like losing her mind or whatever. She's starting to like just want to kill people because, you know, she wants to save everyone or whatever. Yeah. But what scared me, like, or pissed me off, was that Carol's now looking at Maggie like turning into Carol.
Yeah.
And it's like, so all of a sudden now she just changes her whole opinion on everything.
It might be because Carol's seeing herself, like what she is, and like someone else. Because like when you yourself change, you don't really maybe realize it that much. When you see someone else, maybe that's even looking up to you or whatever, and they're changing and becoming that brutal, then maybe you're kind of, oh, okay, maybe I am a little bit fucked up. But I agree that I didn't like Carol's arc that much towards the end. Like I thought her.
Fuck you guys. Carol's the best.
Well, like I still think she's a good character, and like I still like her, but and I think her acting was pretty good, because there's legitimately times, especially the first time I watched the season, where I was like, okay, is she actually breaking down or is she acting? Because acting anyways, but I thought like, okay, she could be breaking down because she's just kind of going crazy now and like feels really bad about everything she's done, or she could be acting that in order to make people think she's weak. And then, so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, I could barely kind of tell what she was doing.
Like when she's got the cross.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're trying to like get her to talk, and she's just like, you don't have to do this or whatever. I was the same way. I'm like, I can't tell if she's doing the thing when she's in Alexandria and just.
The crazy part is that when she was in Alexandria, you could tell when she was being acting, right? So when she's in the compound and you're just like, wait, she's acting this out? Like kind of like how you guys were acting, like, okay, why? Is she acting this right now? But when she realizes like she's going to have to kill everyone in the room, and she's like kind of sad about it because now she's changing her mindset or whatever about how she's a monster.
Yeah, I think, yeah, she's still a good character, but like some of her arc towards the end was a little bit like.
I thought it was good. I don't care what you guys.
Well, my problem isn't her emotional breakdown. My only problem was her logic of leaving Alexandria. I understand she doesn't want to be around.
Yeah, I guess she could have just started siding with Morgan more.
Yeah, like it was like, why do you have to leave? Like it's even like you're gonna have to kill people out there anyways. Like either
like the first 5 minutes she's gone.
So that was the only thing there. Aside from that, I thought overall it was my favorite season just because all the stuff that happened, especially with Rick, and then leading up to Negan.
But I have a disagreement on that, because the reason why she wants to leave is because
she's killing for other people.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to kill for other people because she knows she's not going to do it for them. Like when Maggie gets taken and she's just like, oh my God, I had a second guess and now she might die. So I don't know. She's got such an interesting arc. She's such an interesting character.
Yeah. I think my low point was when they're trying to decide like, oh, are we going to go kill these Negan folks? and everybody's bitching Morgan out. Everybody's telling Morgan he's wrong, and Morgan's like giving pretty good arguments if you ask me, and everyone's like, no, you're an idiot. We're going to go murder a bunch of people.